Our judiciary is a reflection of the society that we have managed to build, debased, debauched, completely acculturated to abnormalities. It does not deliver any justice. We are only fooling ourselves.
You particularly took on personalities. And a very revered legal icon, Are Afe Babalola, you accused him of corrupting the Supreme Court. You accused him of libel. And you accused him of leveraging his influence in the judiciary to deny you justice. You made reference to a particular case. And you also dragged the likes of Mr. Pedro SAN in all of this argument. What exactly was the situation? And how can you defend what you have alleged in this book?
I'm saying it is not personal. I'm saying that Are Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary. And in corrupting the judiciary, it came across my practice.
You see, in as much as you just want to leave some people to enjoy their one Nigeria, there are some things that you cannot just overlook. Anybody that knows Uncle Dele Farotimi knows that he is very outspoken man. He is one man that speaks truth to power without fear or favor. But Nigeria has become a country where those who speak the truth are silenced, while the real enemies of the nation roam free. On December 3rd, Dele Farotimi, a human rights lawyer and activist, was kidnapped by the Nigerian police all the way from Lagos to Ekiti State. I call it kidnap because you cannot describe the manner of which he was taken out of his lawyer's office and arrest. They claim he defamed a senior advocate of Nigeria in Ekiti State, Are Afe Babalola. Don't worry, if you don't know Are Afe Babalola, I'm going to give you a little bit of his history in this video, if time permits us. And also a wealthy businessman, Tony Elumelu, the chairman of the United Bank of Africa. But do you know what's funny? What's funny is how everything he spoke about in that book and in the so-called podcast is what they are currently doing to him. So where is the lie and where is the defamation? Before now, Dele has spoken about threat to his life, saying that powerful people were trying to silence him. He even met with the police last month to answer questions about the so-called defamation. But apparently that wasn't enough. They still came for him in a manner that could better be described as kidnapping. So the powerful are now using our Nigerian police as a tool to kidnap people. What a shame. Look at how low the Nigerian police has brought down themselves. They did not only kidnap, they stole. They stole their phones and some other gadgets. Tell me, what information are they looking for in those phones that they took? Don't worry, I'm going to let you guys watch the full video of that video that you watched from the beginning. But I just want to drop my 2 cents concerning this issue, because for 2 days now, this matter has been trending. And I'm just looking at these people. Like, seriously, how shameless can you be? Is this the country they want investors to come and invest? You think they are not seeing everything happening in this country? And when you speak, they said the other day that it is Davido that went to tell investors not to come and invest. As Siwaju is taking train to go and tell investors to come, Davido is telling them not to come. With all of this nonsense happening, you want them to come and invest? Hey, no! Like, seriously, how do you focus all your energy and resources fighting those you have no business fighting in the first place, then turn blind eyes to those destroying the country? Bandits and terrorists kill innocent people, kidnap children, and destroy communities. Corrupt politicians steal billions, and no one holds them accountable. But the police and the military have the time to go after the people speaking the truth. What kind of leadership is this? If someone feels defamed, isn't the courtroom the right place to settle it? Why send the police to arrest or kidnap someone for saying the truth? Let's be clear. Nothing Dele Farotimi said that is false. He spoke about corruption, injustice, and suffering of ordinary Nigerians. Is it not true that Nigeria is in chaos? Is it not true that the rich and powerful continues to oppress the poor? Is it not true that our leaders have failed us. The truth may hurt, but that doesn't make it defamatory. During the NSAS protest, we saw how the government treated peaceful protesters. Many were killed or arrested for demanding justice, the same justice that we are talking about. Earlier this year, over 24 protesters were killed during a demonstration against the rising cost of living. The government made it clear, if you speak up, they will try to shut you down. They said it. Meanwhile, those who terrorize and steal from the country are left untouched. The sad reality is that Nigeria, telling the truth is a crime, but stealing from the people isn't. If we continue down this path, where will it lead us to? It is Dele Farotimi today. Tomorrow, it could be someone else. This isn't just about Dele Farotimi. It is about every Nigerian who dreams of a better country. If we don't fight back, this cycle of oppression will continue and you may be the next target. Let's take a look at this video that contributed to this wahala.
Is Mr. Dele Farotimi, a seasoned lawyer and an outspoken critic of the Nigerian justice system, who has expressed his concerns extensively in his thought-provoking book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Dele Farotimi joins us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Farotimi, for joining us today.
Good evening, Sean. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. I was reading your book with some kind of trepidation, and I was wondering, it was as if I was reading it in a public space. So I was looking around over my shoulder whether or not anybody could hear me or see what I'm reading, because the fear we have about the Nigerian judiciary, it does look like you're so frustrated, you're so angry. From the very first, in your preface to your introduction, you establish your disgust at some of what you have described as a rot in the Nigerian judiciary. Let me start by asking you, the change that we see in leadership between Justice Kayode Ariwoola and Justice Kekere Ekun, how fundamental do you think this change is?
When you ask with the pedigree of Justice Kekere Ekun, I had to laugh because it's as if the change of name would suggest a change of some change of guard, as if some paradigm has shifted simply because we moved from an Ariwoola to a Kekere Ekun. The fact of the matter is that she's a member of the Nigerian judiciary. She's at the apex right now. She was part and parcel of that Supreme Court each and every time that it had failed the Nigerian people in the last decade plus. She was part and parcel of that Supreme Court when it delivered his Lawan judgment, when it delivered his Akpabio's judgment, when it delivered almost all of the disgusting judgments that have issued forth from the Supreme Court. You said you were reading my book with trepidation, and I'm like, okay, Flora Azinge, a justice, I believe, of the Court of Appeal, sitting at the tribunal in Kano, Azinge came out publicly to speak of how she was being induced. Attempts were being made to induce herself and members of her panel. That wasn't Dele Farotimi that said that. That is a veritable member of the judiciary that said that. Bokachua came to the public space to tell all of us within the unholy chambers of the Senate exactly how judicial pronouncements are procured in the bedroom. He was the first to inform us of how the judiciary has been Bokachualized. Supreme Court justices, numbering 14, came out to say that the Supreme Court, the head of the Supreme Court at the time, Tanko Mohammed, the plane driver, was corrupt. They were claiming that 80 billion had been misappropriated in the Supreme Court. These were justices of the Supreme Court that were signing petition, not Dele Farotimi now. So it wasn't something that Dele Farotimi said that led them to do that. When the United States Department of State came out with its 2021 report and said that our judiciary is a cesspit of corruption, it wasn't Dele Farotimi that said that. He didn't say so. So you have a situation where our judiciary did not become the way it is because Dele said anything. Incidentally, I believe about 2 years ago, when Justice Ariwola was appointed acting CJ, this question you have asked of me tonight was probably a mirror image of the same question Dr. Ruben Abati asked of me about Ariwola and what effect it might have, what changes we might expect from the judiciary. I told him at the time that I didn't expect anything to change. Just as I'm telling you as well, right here and now, that I expect nothing to change. The Nigerian judiciary is the way it is because that is the way the system needs it to be for the system to function.
Mr. Farotimi, there are those who know Justice Kekere and who will refer to Justice Kekere in this manner. They say Justice Kekere is incorruptible and comes with the highest level of integrity. Would you be fair to have referred to Justice Kekere in the manner in which you have referred to her? Our person has been. You've made reference.
Listen, my brother. Persons make up systems, but essentially, this is not about persons. I don't have a personal experience of Justice Kekere, so I cannot speak to a person. But I can speak to the institution that she is heading. And I am saying that the institution she's heading is institutionally incapable of delivering justice because the system has not been set up to deliver justice. I don't know who she is as a person, but I know what she represents. And I am saying that the institution she represents, look, don't listen to me. Listen to Ebun Shofunde SAN. Mr. Shofunde was very specific when he said very clearly that the judicial reputation is at an all-time low. That is the head of the body of senior advocates of Nigeria. Not me. I'm even a retired lawyer. I'm not a seasoned lawyer. Don't worry. It actually makes more sense for everybody to believe that I should not be taken seriously since I kukuma come across as a madman. So don't worry about me. Let's listen to the likes of Ebun Shofunde. Let's listen to, I forget this justice name, the one that retired from Niger State. In the chambers at his own valedictory service, he was busy indicting the judiciary and excoriating it in the strongest possible term, not something I said. So when I say it, maybe the irreverent manner that I might adopt in delivering the truth without bothering to sugarcoat it might come across as shocking, but I am not saying anything that we all are not aware of. Our judiciary is a reflection of the society that we have managed to build, debased, debauched, completely acculturated to abnormalities. It does not deliver any justice. We are only fooling ourselves. How do you talk about justice in a situation where you spend over 5 years in court, at the High Court, over 5 years before you are even heard? I have cases involving me as a person, personal cases where I had grievances against state agencies and I sued. And I've been in court for like 4 years in one case. My matter has not been heard in 1 day. We've never been called to open our case. And yet, if that is not corrupt, what is more corrupt? Justice delayed is justice denied. Ariwola is still sitting there at his valedictory saying bye-bye and is talking about delaying justice. Who causes it?
Yeah, and this is the manner in which I summarized your book. It's an easy read. I probably read half of it on the plane from Lagos to Abuja, and just about 100 pages or so. You said in that book, and this is how I summarize it. You said that there is a systemic corruption, inefficiency, lack of public trust in law enforcement and judicial processes in Nigeria, and you gave us some very far-reaching and personal experience as a practicing lawyer. In fact, what bothered me is the names that you dropped and the names you mentioned, which I know can put you into legal trouble, and which I know that you're a man of, you're a troublemaker yourself.
Sheon, let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
In law, the truth is an absolute defense against libel. whether that libel is civil or criminal libel. The truth is an absolute defense. I challenge any one of them to dare to sue me, take me to that same court. The key reason why I felt myself compelled to write this book is the fact that I sought legal redress for the libel against me by one of the principal characters, and he used his clout in the judiciary to deny me the capacity to even question him.
These are heavy, these are weighty allegations. You have
they are not
accused
a
former
facts.
Solicitor General of Lagos State, Lawal Pedro, SAN. You have accused Baba Afe Babalola, SAN. You have accused a very prominent person in the judiciary also of compromise. In fact, you even mentioned the retired CGN Ariwola in some of your analysis in your book. These are weighty and heavy allegations against these personalities, don't you think?
Let me put it this way. I have been very, very deliberate about avoiding dealing with names and persons, because my fight in the Nigerian space is not against persons. It's about the decadent institution and the state itself. So whenever I have had to mention persons by name, it's been because it is completely unavoidable, and the truth and facts have to be established without looking at anybody's eyes, because all of us, we're just creatures in time. We will go eventually. Incidentally, my confidant and friend, who was chairman at the launch of the book, has passed on. Within less than 2 months of the book being launched, that shows you the transient nature. Yes, it shows you the transient nature of the life that we live. So if I say because I'm afraid of what a human being would do to me, or I'm afraid of how my professional colleagues or people might look at me when I have spoken the truth, what of when I'm dead? What happens then? So whilst I'm here, alive and well, and able to speak the truth that I've experienced and has been given to me to speak, it is not for me to look at the eyes of Uche, me, Woju Uche, whoever know like him. They are the legal gurus now. They know the road to court. I have every confidence in the capacity of the truth, both as a shield and as a sword. Every confidence. And having said that, I say this knowing that I have told the truth. The facts are inside the court's own records, notoriously. So if people are not happy with what I have said, that's their problem. But it's not about their person, it's about the situation, the system that has allowed such levels of abuse. It is the system, not the persons. Persons will live and they will die. I will go one day just as each and every one of the persons I mentioned. But the system that allowed that kind of evil has to change if this society is going to be one in which our children are going to be able to live with some level and measure of decency. We cannot have a system that regulates impunity and then that licenses men to act as though they are gods and citizens as serfs that they can simply trample upon their head and then use the courts to legitimize the evil. No.
So you are saying what you have inferred in this book to me looks like a frustration of a lawyer who has seen the worst case scenario of what could have happened in any justice system, even in hell. And you have said, look, anybody who goes to find justice in the Nigerian system is a sheer waste of time. Does that represent your position after all said and done?
To a very large extent, you are correct. But I need to, because there are nuances to these things as well. Number one, it would be disingenuous of me to suggest that it is the evils that I saw in the system that led me to walk away from legal practice. That will not be true. I had already decided I was leaving when I turned 50. What happened in this case happened, I think, in 2013. So it's a story that took, 2012, 2013, is a story that took almost 12 years to write. So even after it had happened, I remained in practice for, I think, another 5 years before retiring. So it wasn't because of this. But when it comes to the truthfulness of your assertion that I had become disenchanted with the capacity of the system to deliver anything of value. You are completely correct. It had become clear to me that the Nigerian judicial system is completely unfit for purpose. Look, United Nations Office for Drug and Crimes was very clear in his indictment of the Nigerian judicial system. He says it is corrupt, horribly corrupt. That is not me. It is now my own experience. You know, when you are talking in abstracts and you are talking about the corruption of the judiciary, you are still speaking abstractly. What I have done is to offer my own first-hand experience within the system. I have merely spoken to what I saw within the system, what I witnessed. So where the United Nations Office for Drug and Crime can speak generally and in broad terms, where Mr. Shofunde could speak about the Supreme Court having become perfunctory with his judgment. I'm quoting him. Supreme Court judgment has become perfunctory. This is not, those are not rabble-rousers. You can say Dele Farotimi is not well, he's a rabble-rouser. Those are not Dele Farotimi. Those are individuals and institutions to whom you can at least ascribe some measure of temperance, unlike me. So that's what it is. It became tiring and it became important to set the record straight and let Nigeria be confronted with a mirror showing it is that judiciary should see its own ugly nudity and be forced to change itself. It's a society-wide thing. But if the judiciary is lost, what is left of the society?
And so I'm going to the nitty-gritty of what you wrote in your book, which I may not be able to pick on every character or every experience that you have. But there is one that seems to have touched you and you became so emotional in the use of your language in this book. You particularly took on personalities. And a very revered legal icon, Ààrẹ Afe Babalola, you accused him of corrupting the Supreme Court. You accused him of libel. And you accuse him of leveraging his influence in the judiciary to deny you justice. You made reference to a particular case. And you also dragged the likes of Mr. Pedro S.A.N. in all of this argument. What exactly was the situation? And how can you defend what you have alleged in this book?
You are making this sound like some personal grievance between myself and Ààrẹ Afe Babalola. I'm saying it is not personal. I'm saying that Ààrẹ Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary. And in corrupting the judiciary, it came across my practice. When I came across it, I challenged it as a lawyer and I fought it to the point where he could not enjoy the fruit of his exertion in the Supreme Court. In writing the letter that he wrote to the then Chief Justice of Lagos State, Ayomide Philip, he libeled me. He suggested that I should be derobed, that what I had done was deserving of sanction, and I should have been struck off the bar. And when I saw this, knowing what I already knew of what he did, I wrote a letter asking that he should withdraw that letter that he had written that was libelous of me. And he declined. Arrogantly so, he declined. And I sued him for libel. And when I sued for libel, the machines of corruption went into overdrive, and a case that should never have been killed at the preliminary stage was killed. Everything about the case, the judge to whom it was assigned, the manner of the handling of the case, 9 months after it was adjourned for ruling, 9 months. The procedures are clear. It shouldn't be longer than 3 months. 9 months without informing us, in spite of the fact that we had written 2 letters to request to be told when the ruling will be delivered. So, and then the ruling went as far as to say that, look, Sheung, there are some things that should not be reduced to person. This has nothing to do with persons. If Areafe Babalola was the only person who is licensed to enjoy that level of impunity, that's different. It's not about him. It's a system-wide problem. You simply can't get justice from the system. When I spoke about him and the others, they are merely as examples. He has nothing to do with persons. I don't know him as a person beyond what I have described. I think I've only ever set my eye on him once in my entire life. I described it in the book. It was at Heathrow Terminal 5. That was the only time I ever saw him in my life, and it was before this occurrence. So it's nothing personal. But if persons have perpetrated evil and they have reinforced it and built a system that is as patently evil as the one in which we are living, it becomes the duty of the conscious. If you are conscious of that evil, you must speak against it. If you don't speak against it, you are helping to normalize it. So when the United Nations is speaking about corruption in the Nigerian system, when a judge is appointing his son, his daughter-in-law, when the entire system becomes as prebendal as it has become, it becomes easy for persons to influence things within the system to the detriment of those who should be citizens. So I'm not speaking about persons. I loathe to speak about persons. But when I am compelled to speak about persons in relation to their impact on the system and as types, I have no choice. I have no choice. It is whether what I have said is the truth or not. That should be what counts. It's not about the person. I don't care about names. I don't care about whether the person is 100 years old or 10 years old. It is about what level of respect have you earned. What is the value of the life you have lived.